Hi everybody, welcome to another video on the channel. This is Coach Neil Bergenroth with a video analysis of Cambridge University at the head of the Charles about 10 days ago. I'm recording this at the end of October 2025. And I was at the BU Boathouse for the start of the Champ 8s and was recording a few of the crews and very interested to see how they were moving the boat. And I managed to capture Cambridge among other crews, Washington and Harvard, but we're going to focus on Cambridge. They were the fastest boat down the race course, the whole race. So managed to win the race by a second or two over Washington, who were second, and Harvard, who were third. So I thought we would take a look at the way in which they're moving the boats and kind of get in the minds of these rowers. The first part of this is a very nice lock on at that catch. When we're looking at the blade going in, it's hooking in right where they reach and connecting on that front end very well. And they're getting locked on and they're getting suspended from hands to feet all the way through the body very effectively right on the front end. What I tend to see with people who I'm working with for the first time, particularly high school rowers, is they miss this first top quarter of the drive, and these guys are getting that blade in very nicely. So I think I always like driving the launch a little bit in front of the crew, not washing it down obviously, but looking at this angle here to see how well is everybody hooking in at the beginning of the stroke. So that's kind of point number one. Point number two is the way in which they are activating their bodies through the stroke. So if I forward this a few more strokes so that we can see them directly from the side, we're going to see something that I think you're going to find interesting. So here we go. They are about level with the camera here, and I want you to watch the way that they are sequencing the legs, the trunk, and the arms. And specifically, when I forward this frame by frame, you can see the legs start to go down, but interestingly enough, the trunk is opening up right off of that front end. They're not really waiting for the legs to go halfway down. They are concurrently opening the trunk against the legs right off the front end here, right? You can see that with a lot of these rowers, but also interestingly enough, they are contracting and concurrently using their arms. The arms actually don't break until a little bit later on, but they are using their arms all the way through that stroke, so that what happens is by the end of the stroke, the back and the arms finish at the same time, roughly the same time. And so I think that's a really interesting observation, and I'll go back and show you one more time. We'll go kind of frame by frame. And if you watch the 5-seat in particular, right? If we're watching the 5-seat here, I think they do it very nicely here. So if we're watching them, you can see the legs, the back starting to open up. The arms are activated here. You can see some bend coming into the arms, and the back and the arms finish very nicely together, right? Now, obviously, I don't have the force curves for these rowers, but what I do know is if we're looking at force curves here, and we're trying to figure out, okay, what does that force curve look like? For those of you not familiar with the force curve, force is on the y-axis and time is on the x-axis, or distance if you're on a row perfect. And typically what we see with that force curve is something that looks like this, where it goes up pretty well and then it kind of flattens off and becomes sort of discontinuous is what I would call it, and ineffective, where it kind of flattens off here at the end of the stroke. And the only way to get that force curve to be nice and convex all the way around is actually to finish the legs, finish the trunk and the arms together. And what you get is a better chance at keeping that acceleration continuous. And, you can see it in these rowers right here, where everything kind of comes together and terminates, if I can use that word, although it's a continuous chain of strokes, really, where the back and the arms finish together. And that allows them to finish that stroke in a way that keeps that force application very organic and continuous, which is interesting. And I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is very goal oriented. What they are thinking about, what is in their minds, is how far can they send these puddles off the end of each stroke, right? They are trying to make sure that they maximize the speed of that shell at the end of the stroke, and their whole goal is to push that puddle as far as possible, and they do that very, very nicely, and it's very, very effective. And then, interestingly enough, if we watch what they're doing on the recovery, it's not segmented; it's very organic in the same fashion, where the arms start to move away. Interestingly enough, there's not a ton of layback here, right? The handle finishes under the chin, and then the arms flow away. And as the arms are extending, they're not fully extended yet. We're still getting, some nice swing in the trunk. So everything kind of flows together, and that boat runs on really nicely after those puddles are being sent. And that's what they're doing. And this was the fastest crew in the Champ 8s on the Sunday afternoon. And we'll just go through it one more time so you can see it. Legs are going down. Trunk is opening up right off the front end. The arms are engaged the whole way through the pull through, so that everything in terms of the trunk and the arms finishes off together. And the goal here is to send the puddle as far as possible, right? It's not just, to smack the front end. It's the whole organic pull through, the whole drive here. That is the key focus here. And in this excellent example of concurrent activation of legs, trunk, and arms to move this boat. And the results don't lie. They do this very, very well. And so I thought I would record this video and kind of show you some observations that I think you'll find quite interesting. So love to hear your comments. So if you like the video, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'll put more content in the coming weeks and months. But thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something from the video. Thanks again.